Domonique, what's your reaction to Pippen saying Curry isn't the best player on either team in the finals?
I mean, obviously, I think Max actually hinted to it a little bit in the last question. He's small. Like, I can go through the history of the NBA. I was looking this morning trying to figure out who was a dominant point guard. Like, I can't think of anybody who was a 6'3" point guard who dominated the game. Basketball is a game where
but
being...
he's not 6'3".
Yeah, he was Magic. I mean, he's kind of what LeBron is, and he's a small forward who can run the point. So, like, there are no kind of dominant point guards in NBA history, and I think if anyone has gotten close to it, it's been Steph Curry. He's dominated games before, but I don't know why we would expect it to be any different. You notice the people that he named was Kevin Durant, who's 7 feet, and LeBron James, who's 6'8", 260. Like, that kind of is important to being a dominant force in the NBA.
Now I'm going to sound like I'm contradicting myself because as the Warriors team is constructed, Steph is more important than Durant. But Durant is a better overall player than Steph because he's taller. The basket's way up in the air. So the NBA selects out for height. That's why, contrary to what everyone thought, you need a great point guard and a stretch four. That is the slowest way to a championship. In every era of basketball, it's the slowest way to a championship. The least important positions, if you want to win a championship, are the 4 and the 1. And by the way, Magic Johnson not only was basically a small forward who could run the point, Domonique, but he jumped at center as a rookie against Darryl Dawkins and gave him 42, 15, and 7 when Kareem went down. He's 6'8", 6'9". Magic is the exception that proves the rule also. He was not really a point guard. And Oscar Robertson, another guy who's considered, well, what about him, was a huge combo guard for the era. It's never a little point guard. It never is. Apologies, Isaiah Thomas, who won 2 championships as the best player on his team, who was an incredible crunch time player. But
he
got
was great,
it.
But was he ever really, like, I don't remember. I wasn't alive. I've watched those. I mean, I was alive, but I wasn't watching as closely as I do now. I've watched back, and I'm not sure that I ever felt like Isaiah Thomas was dominating a game in the way that LeBron is capable of.
He dominated games, but he was not quite. He was a little half step below Magic and Bird because he was shorter than them, a lot shorter than them. And that's the same reason Steph, look, there was a moment last year where I was one of the people leading the charge. Hey, in no other era would Steph be the best player in the game. It's never happened before, but due to the rules and the way the game is played now, in fact, we are living in Steph Curry's world. He's the best player in basketball, but I was clearly proven wrong in the finals. No, he's not, because it still selects out for height, the league. And so Steph Curry has come as close as anyone has ever come to being the best player in the game at a small size. But still, this is not stratified according to weight classes like boxing. You know, Floyd Mayweather was the best pound for pound. He'd have been smashed by Vladimir Klitschko, the heavyweight champ. But, you know, in the NBA, Floyd Mayweather has to fight Vladimir Klitschko. You know, Steph Curry has to play against LeBron. And when you do that, you find out that actually size matters.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I would disagree with the idea that Isaiah, you're not talking about current Isaiah Thomas, you're talking about Pistons Isaiah Thomas, was dominant. I mean, we can look up the numbers. I'm not sure that it was to the point where it was like no one has a chance, the same way that we feel when LeBron. Like, Isaiah doesn't rise to, like, LeBron-level dominance,
Let's put it this way, Domonique.
When he was Isaiah the most dominant player? When Isaiah was Isaiah the most dominant player in the series, the championship series that he won? Sometimes he was on one leg. Isaiah was an incredible player. The fact that he was left off the Dream Team, that's Jordan's fault, and it was total BS. Isaiah belonged on that team. He's one of the all-time greats. The reason he's not even higher on the list is simply that he's short. And so what Pippen's really pointing out is the best players in the game are always, almost without exception, they are attacking two-way wing players and bigs who defend the rim on the one hand and can play with their back to the basket in the paint on the other. That's every single one of the top 15 players who ever lived. I like it. I like that you're keeping track of your contradictions.
Max Kell with the last word.
I've taught you something.
Maybe.